Welcome to the Cell, everybody. Cool conversations with the most amazing salespeople I can find.
Everybody, welcome back to The Cell. As I tell every guest, it is a podcast with the coolest salespeople on the planet. So we are now building a tribe of coolest salespeople. And if the definition of cool salespeople is somebody who has thought, trained, and talked about sales more than other people, I think Sam Bessler is in that club. Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me here.
No worries at all. We were just talking before the show. I mean, how many? So let's dive right in, because you were telling me about your history as a sales trainer. How many salespeople do you think you've trained or managed? Or it's a
All
lot.
right. Mm, I started my career from sales, selling people. Within 5 months, became the manager. Ever since I've been doing all of that. So my businesses have been into as an employee. The number should be about 500,000. So yeah, I was in call centers, right? So when you are managing, hiring, training call center people, we generally deal in 3,000, 5,000 number of volumes. So that's was the numbers.
Well, and Sam, you're based in India. Which city are you in currently, Sam?
I was born in Delhi. I'm now operating from Dubai and Delhi mix, but mostly India. Yeah.
So why don't what an incredible way to start. 500,000? I mean, and people know that in India there is a lot of technology, call centers as well. How do you manage a team of thousands? Like, how does it even work?
But that was the most interesting thing, and this is something that I keep uh, telling people even today that generally I see people thinking that sales is a person people driven function. I'm a good salesperson. I am supposed to do something, wave a magic wand or something and deliver sales. What I learned very early in my career that sales or revenue is not people driven. It is process driven. You can set up processes and you can put ordinary people into those processes. And if those processes are right, the scripts, the reviews, the FAQs, the follow-ups and everything, ordinary people can deliver decent amount of sales consistently over a period of time. And that is what working in call centers, taught me very, very early. It's all about data. It's all about numbers. And that is one thing that I still find people not doing it, not knowing how to do it, not even willing to believe that, it's not people. It is the process you put those people in. I've
So,
seen great people, wonderful, very, very hardworking people, failing miserably in sales. The moment you change their one domain and you put them into another domain, they fail. And it's not because they don't want to sell or the process or product is very complicated. It's just that they don't know how to apply whatever they've learned into the new environment, new target audience, new product. And that's where the processes play a very, very important role.
Sam, that statement you made, that ordinary people can deliver at sales if you put them in process. Honestly, dude, you are a man after my own heart. I tell people all the time now, if you don't have process, if you don't have the CRM, if you don't have the right tools in front of you, it can't work. Why do you think so many people don't understand that point?
Because this is not intuitive, it doesn't come uh, very easy. And I can go back into the basic reasons. It's basically the cultural problem, and there are multiple layers, but it's basically cultural problem. The stories that we read, the movies that we watch, there is this hero, and this person does extraordinary things, and everybody waits for him to do things. So we grow believing that these there are individuals, self-made men, as they say, extraordinary people. They possess some kind of magical powers within them, and they deliver the results. However, if you read research and studies, and there are multiple books. There's a book called Outlier by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yep,
Fantastic book, research
of
driven.
course.
It talks about, it decodes success. And when you understand what exactly is happening, even behind the success of these ordinary people, or these extraordinary people, they follow certain principles, certain rules over and over and over and again consistently. Right. So if you can understand those rules and you can make people follow those rules consistently, uh, the results are certain, outcomes are certain. So when I talk about processes, there are two kind of processes. People generally think, oh, when processes are being talked about, we're talking about CRMs and those tools and automations and everything. Yes, that is very, very important. But when you have that conversation with a prospect, that also is a process, right?
Yep,
Because decision
yep,
making is a science. Decision making is a process. It happens in parts. And if you are selling something to somebody, and it does not matter what it can be an idea, it can be a product, it can be a tangible product, it can be a non-tangible product. The decision making
yep.
science is process. So what you have to do, and very, very simply, just understand how people make decisions. And that's psychology and science. Once you understand how people make decisions, then you can reverse engineer from there how you are going to talk to them, right? So what I'm going to say in the beginning, what questions I'm going to ask, how I'm going to present, what solution do I have? And there are various sales models that have been tried and tested and being taught. Unfortunately, I don't see people doing enough in this area, right? I mean, sales is the largest function of any business. Sales professionals are the highest number of employees in any organization percentage wise. Salespeople are the highest paid professionals in the world. If you look at the CEOs of the company, most of the CEOs of every company started their careers with sales. The politicians, the
Yep.
leaders, you talk about anybody in the world, they are in a profession of conveying a certain idea to other people and make them believe in that idea and make them do things that they want to do. Now, that basically is persuasive communication. That is what sales is all about. And it's all science and it's all psychology. And you can understand that. You can practice that. Why we don't do it? Why don't people do it? Because it's not taught as a discipline in schools and colleges. It's not taught as a discipline in families. And the salespeople are generally seen as some lower level kind of, you know, you don't get any job, and that's why you would go to sales, right? That's how people see it.
That
I don't blame them. Most of the salespeople, honestly speaking, are sleazy. They are pushy. They're not professionals, and I would not like to talk to them. So this whole, I mean,
oh
this
my
is
God.
fascinating, and this is interesting, and sad actually.
Damn. Oh my God. I wish we had 5 hours to talk about this, dude, because I love this because it's so true. People tell me I don't want to be a salesperson. They're like, why? They say, oh, because I'm a sleazy guy in the suit talking at people. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what you shouldn't be doing. What you should be
Exactly.
doing, I think you phrased it beautifully, is that it is a combination of understanding communication. There's a process of following the process. There is a process. And ultimately, someone's making a decision, but it's got to be their decision. You just have to help them get there, not force it down. So it leads me to an obvious question. Is it nature or is it nurture? You said ordinary people can do sales. Can everybody do it, Sam?
It's combination of nature and nurture. So if you are okay, so what is the core of this entire profession? And I'm not talking about people in suit trying to sell products. I'm talking about politicians selling ideas, leaders, CEOs convincing their teams to do something awesome, extraordinary. It is about conveying what you believe in to people so that they follow you. That's the whole thing. Now, what it takes, and I wanted to add something to what I previously said also, that if you look at the education that we've had for over 100 years, and the assessment of education, what you have understood or not, the assessment primarily tests only two things. One is your reading comprehension, and the another is your ability to express. But
Yep.
the exams happen in written format.
Correct.
So your ability to express in writing.
Yep.
There is no test which makes me learn about empathy, right? Nobody teaches that. And empathy is the cornerstone. If I don't want to talk at you, if I don't want to sell you something, if I want to engage you in a conversation, try to understand your problem, understand how you make a decision, and then suggest my solution to you, which is the consultative selling approach, which is the right approach. I need to give a shit about what you feel, what is going on in your life, what kind of person you are, what makes you tick. Now, that can be learned, okay? That can
Yep.
be learned after enough process and enough practice and all that. But you know what? If you are not naturally an empathic person, right? Your brain doesn't function like that. You would not enjoy those moments of deep, meaningful conversations. So you will move to a level. And then when you are competing at the top, and somebody like me who's naturally into it, I mean, I can talk to people, learn about them, understand their feelings, and then, you know, I can do that without money and I can do it forever. When you meet at the top, somebody like me, I'll beat you because I'm playing and you're working,
Let's go.
right?
I love it.
So yes, you can improve this. You can do a good job even if you are not natural. So nurture definitely can, and that's why I said ordinary people can be put into processes and they can deliver decent results. Do you want them to be visionaries and charismatic speakers? No, for that you definitely need somebody who's naturally gifted and talented at it.
What a great phrase in this. Your work, I'm playing, you're working. I'm the same. Look, I had a startup that didn't work out, so I do need to earn even later in my career. But people said to me, "You're going to keep selling forever?" I'm like, "Yes." And without thinking, you know what I said, Sam? I said, "Yeah, it's what I do. This is what I do." But you know, this phrase of empathy, and I'm going to tell the listeners something. You are the first guest who arrived on this show, and before we started, you said, you didn't ask me what you were going to say. You asked me, what would the listeners want to get out of this? How would we might like to make the listeners feel? That's
Think,
sales.
feel, and do.
That's sales.
But there are three, four fundamentals. Whenever I train young people, I don't do it anymore. My okay, so I like to communicate ideas and engage with people. Uh, my ideas, you know, the things that I'm curious about, that keeps on changing. So I was selling
sure.
insurance earlier in my career. Then I became manager. I used to sell company mission and goal and vision to my teams, then incentives. And then I became the owner of a business. I was selling them dreams and everything. So it
Uh,
keeps on changing.
uh,
But one thing that does not change fundamentally, you know, the process of it. I think I can give three, four steps that I teach everybody. And
sure.
they're very, very simple, extremely simple. The most and the most important thing is that you as a communicator, you as a salesperson, you need to believe and understand and remind something that I call WIFME, WIIFME. It's what's in it for me. Okay. Everybody who's talking to you, everybody you're talking to, they are constantly asking this question to themselves: what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Now remember that. Now the people forget that when they talk to them. So I give them this a little magic trick. I tell them that when you're talking to somebody, imagine that the other person have has an invisible slate around their neck. Okay, when I'm talking to Ned, I'm seeing that slate right now and it's invisible. Now there are two statements written on that slate. The first and the most important, in bold capital letters, it's written, I am important. All right. I don't care who you talk to, how you talk to. Everybody wants to feel important.
Correct.
That's what the human nature is all about. So if I
100%.
talk to somebody, if I remind myself by looking at that slate which says I'm important, it's not about me anymore. my whole approach is now going to be, okay, Ned wants to feel important. I'm going to make him feel important. Rest, everything is always, taught and trained. We know how to talk. We know what to say, what not to say, what faces to make. The second statement written on the slate is what's in it for me. If I remember these two things, when I speak to somebody on phone, when I talk to somebody in public life, everything falls in place. This is the beginning of empathy, and this is the beginning of not being me, but being about you. And then I start asking question, hey, Ned, what's going on? So the rapport building happens, probing happens, need analysis happens, everything happens. I've
Beautiful.
realized that it does not happen when people forget trainings. Every organization has some kind of sales training, right? But when they actually talk to the real customers, they forget it
And it's
because
beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing, Sam. Like, because you have to break it down into simplistic. Again, for me and you, have been doing it forever. It's natural. Again, a bit like Malcolm Gladwell's other famous book, 10,000 Hours. You've done 10,000, so you just know how to do it, right? You just know how to use your empathy. But I often get asked, one person never forget, he said to me, how do I talk at somebody? I'm like, oh my God, dude, no, we don't talk at people. And I think your idea of the slate, which is you're looking at it, they are important, or I am important, and what's in it for me? That's beautiful. What else? You had a couple of other simple rules.
yes, it's simple. And see, the thing is that this is the problem with trainings also, when I'm somebody who's done sales, let's say for 5 years and 10 years, and a junior executive, an employee joins my company. I'm teaching them. Generally, what happens is, the training is going to be about the product. They tell them everything about, like, this is what we are selling, this is the benefit, this is the advantage, and this is the pricing and everything. So it's about the product, number one. Number two, most of them I've seen, and it's terrible, and it's largest organizations I've seen, it's terrible actually. They don't have a process of teaching the people how do they actually communicate that advantage, that benefit to a customer. Let's say they have it, because the person who's teaching, I don't call training, I call teaching. The person who's teaching has been at it for 10 years. For them, it's natural. They just start assuming, oh, you know what? I told them the product, I told them the benefit, they will go and do it. No, that doesn't happen because this person is new. They don't know how to start a conversation. So what happens is, because they've been taught about the product and they've been filled with this information about the company, the product, the benefit, the competition, they go to somebody and then just vomit all the information over the customer. And that's the situation of like talking at somebody. Now, nobody likes that. Okay. You come to me and you start talking about your product or service. I'm like, dude, fuck off. I don't want to talk to you. Is that okay to say the word?
Son, man, we do whatever we like.
That is why when I give this treatment to a salesperson doesn't like it.
Of course.
Everybody hates it. Nobody likes that kind of treatment. That's why people hate sales. That's why they don't want to be in sales. That's why they go back and say, I don't want to do this. I want to quit a job. I want to do something else. That is the fundamental problem. If sales trainers, if the managers, if the bosses, someone in the company can turn those conversation between the salesperson and customer into an engagement, both parties will enjoy it. Salesperson will enjoy it. The customers will enjoy it. And look, you can't sell something to somebody who doesn't need it. Selling a sand in the desert is a stupid thing to do. It doesn't happen. If I don't need something, I will not buy. Period. But there are so many people who need something. They will go and buy from somebody, not from you. If you want to be that person who is referred and who's bought, you got to make the engagement or the conversation enjoyable so that the person remembers you. And and this is funny actually. People believe that decisions or sales decisions or product decisions are rational, logical decisions. Science says it is not. People use emotions to take decisions and then use logic to justify their decision. So if you want to be good at sales, Just make them emotional. And how do you
Yeah.
make people emotional? Make them laugh, make them emotional, easy. And they'll buy from you. No problems at all. And they themselves will go back and justify their decision. They'll give them the logic. Say, oh, you know what? I did a good thing. I made a decision. Good job done.
It's oh my God, man, it's so true. Like it's
It's funny also. Now, because I bought something which is expensive, I have to justify to myself I bought something and it's logical thing. I'm gonna go and talk to my friends also. And I'm gonna one who's gonna sell the product. I mean, look at what iPhone owners do. They
sure,
buy this expensive device and they have to feel good about it. Then they have to justify it to themselves. Then they
sure.
go and tell their friends, you know what, this is good. This they flash it out. So they are doing the selling for you. So the reference question is also sorted now. How are you going to get reference? Happy customers, if you made them enjoy the process of conversation buying with you, they'll give you the references.
It's such a beautiful man. Like I think we came from the same sales school. That isn't it crazy to come back to the early part of what you said when somebody just vomits product information at a client? You're like, oh no, dude, stop! Like your job is not to do that. Your job is to ultimately get them to ask you, oh, what is your product? Because we've talked about the problem, we've talked about what I need. So what does your product do?
Yes.
And I tell people, if someone says to me, oh yeah, right. So I think we understand what does your product do? I'm like, what? You're buying something from me now because you asked me. And I tell people this, Sam, I have this phrase. So I think as you say, sometimes salespeople don't like what you say to them because they're like, oh no. I tell salespeople, if you want to be really good at selling B2B tech products, please understand that you suck and your product sucks. It's the other side of you're important, what's in it for me. No one cares about your product and no one gives a shit about you. So do not be important yourself and do not tell them about your product. It's kind of the reverse side of that slate, which is the salesperson should look and go, I suck and my product sucks. And if you understand you suck and your product sucks, not literally that you suck, but you have that in your head, you can't talk about yourself or your product. So what's left to do is listen to the customer talk about what they want. And if they want what you have and you're there in the right place with empathy and feeling and belief, they'll buy from you.
And in B2B, it is even more complicated and it is more important. The philosophy that we're talking about, it applies more in a B2B environment because uh, if I'm a decision maker in a company, I'm using somebody else's money. It's not my money. Okay.
True. True.
I have to be accountable, responsible for it. The product that I'm buying tomorrow is going to be employed or applied in the company. People are going to talk about it and they're going to ask me questions. I want to be in a position to justify my buying decision. So the risk is high. The applications implications are deeper, and there are other people also involved. The only way that you can go through in a B2B sales is by actually building those relationships.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nothing moves. And then it's not with one person. There are multiple decision makers also. So that's a separate part altogether. How do you, build relationship with 5, 6 decision makers on the board so that when actually your proposal is one of the 5 proposals, uh, 70% of the decision makers say, we know this guy and we know this company and this is good. Let's go for that. That's a separate thing altogether. But what I'm trying to summarize here is that in a B2B environment, a relationship is the only way that you can go through. And how do you build relationships? And fundamentally, people ask, okay, what do I do to build relationships? Now, people generally they start wishing people happy birthday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. No, dude, fuck off. That's not what it is. You talk to me about my life. And there are 2 roles that are there. You're talking to the manager. Now, this is also another problem that I've seen in B2B sales. So they believe that this is the designation. They take the decision. Let's say the manager, the VP or CEO, whatever. They talk to the chair. They talk to the chair. They talk to the CEO. They don't talk to the man behind the chair. They don't talk to the person in the hat. They don't talk about family, their background, what drives them, what makes them emotional in this chair, what are the challenges that they're facing, their dreams, what would they like to do, and all of those things. And that is where they miss the whole point. If you talk to the chair is going to be rational. The
Yeah.
chair is going to be logical. and logic is not how decisions are taken.
Isn't it crazy that I know it's correct, but you would imagine that B2B is so logical. Get the best product at the right price and buy it. That's not what happens.
No, it is not. It is not. Look at the large ticket size products that are being sold. Why do you think that the process is so long, the sales cycle, the sales velocity that we call? Now, generally, you would think, oh, you know what, because there are departments, there are checks and balances, it goes through. No, if the person believes in it and is emotional about it, they will push through the process.
Correct.
They do it for you. They
Yes.
don't do it. They don't go to their boss 3 times a week and say, hey, you know what? I submitted a proposal. We should do it, because they're not emotional about it. You didn't build a relationship with them and you can't push them.
And I tell people, because you get this all the time, right? Salespeople say, why does it take so long? Why is the client ignoring me? And I tell them 2 things. Number 1, it's your fault. It's not the client. It's got nothing to do with the client. It's your fault. And number 2, the reason they're not going to their boss to push it is the reason they haven't told you. Because they don't know you well enough. They don't have a tight enough relationship to actually say, hey, I don't have the budget, or I can't do this, or I actually don't need to do it, or I'm trying not to get fired, or you don't have a tight enough relationship with them. So I totally agree. This length of time thing, when people are like, oh, clients suck, clients ghosted me. I'm like, dude, that's on you. Because if it was your best friend in that seat, they would just tell you, hey, Sam, sorry, man, I can't do it. I just can't do it, right? Because I overspent my budget, or I don't need to take the risk, or whatever. They'll just tell you because they know you. But you haven't built a good enough relationship, therefore. And it's really weird because I'm like, it's not the client. And then they say to me, no, Ned, but the client hasn't got back to me. I'm like, no, that's your fault. That's literally your fault. And you can see that they're looking at me with this quizzical, they're like, he's joking, right? It's the client's fault, isn't it? I'm like, no, it's not the client.
There was this joke that we used to crack when I built this sales company. There were over 600 sales agents. We were selling to Europeans, right? And Europeans are generally very, very nice people. They're
Sure.
sweet. They talk nicely. They're honest. They don't want to buy. They tell you they don't want to buy, and all that. Like, one of the finest people that I ever worked with were the Europeans. So this is the same thing. Sales are not happening. I'm talking to my team, and they're like, oh, you know what? The clients are not responding. They're saying this and that and that. And they were furious over the clients, of the prospect customers, let's say.
Sure.
So we used to do this exercise that, okay, let's play crib game, right? So we'll all sit together and we'll crib about all of these customers or prospects. They are bad, they're, this and that, and we do this, all of the things. We would sometimes put up this is funny. There was a dartboard in our office, and people were allowed to put up a picture of anybody and throw darts at it. And we would just sometimes pull up a random European guy's picture from the internet. We'd put up there and we would just throw darts at it. And then after the entire venting out game, I would tell them that, look, whatever we've just done, nobody has communicated this to any of your prospects in Europe. You know what that person is doing right now? Maybe playing with his kids, having beer on a beach somewhere, and you, idiot, you're wasting your time and energy and talking about that they suck and they are bad and they are. Even if you're right, it does not change anything. It does not matter. So if you want to get results, get over with this thing as quickly as possible and try to imagine your prospect in an environment that they are right now. Okay? You're sitting in India, you're talking to Italians. Think about the Italian that you're going to talk to after 5 minutes. This person might be in the garden, tending to his plants, maybe going to office, and the person might have had a bad day. The boss just, fired, or maybe wife didn't make breakfast, right? Whatever shit. There are hundreds of reasons that the person goes through a day. And if you do not think like that, if you do not imagine all of that, you're cold. You're treating that person as a number and a non-person. And see, non-persons do not open their wallets. Numbers do not open their wallets, right? Only people do. And when that is an understanding, rest falls into place.
It's so Do you think, Sam, okay, so we had a time limit on today, which will be another 5 minutes, which sucks because I think we need to sit in the studio for a few hours and just talk passionately about sales because I think we both come from this place where, yeah, I don't know if I got it at the beginning, but after all this time, and you obviously get it now, is that sales is beautiful. I call it
It's
theater.
wonderful.
I call it theater. Every meeting is like a play. And what I tell people is, you're the director, the client's the actor. They just don't know the lines. It's your job to help them along, but it's your job to make them feel like they acted beautifully. It's your job to make them feel when they leave the meeting, they're like, wow, that was great. So one time I think we should sit in person, do a long form chat about, a masterclass on all things sales. But I would like to ask you in particular, like you talk about feeling, I get this asked, this is what a lot of listeners say to me is it's not so much about building relationships, which is obviously critical. Is it, when do you know? I get asked this all the time. When do you know
I
that you
think
can
I lost you.
ask for a sale?
Oh, it's my phone, I think. I lost you over there.
Oh, you're back here. Which bit did you lose me at, Sam?
You're talking about feeling or something that
Yes.
I said.
Yep. What people would like to know, and we'll take this as the last question and we'll do part 2 on this because I think there's so much we can chat about, is when do you know to ask for the sale? To close.
There are two. Okay, so closing signals, this is how I try to refer them. They start from the start of the call. If you are making note of those signals, the person gives you those signals and you should be, aware. But then that last part, which generally we call ask for a sale, where do we say sign the check, sign the contract or whatever. Uh, I have understood in millions of calls that I made, heard, practice, all of my career, is that it generally is when somebody says, so how should I fix it? Or what should I do? That is the question. Then they say, what should I
Love
do?
it.
And that only happens when you have done enough of probing, which is a part of need analysis, digging around or I can give a little, but that's for the another part. So you ask them basic questions, specific need questions, and the effect questions, which I use as I say the pain and gain theory. A simple situation, you say, okay, so here is situation you are in, and you have a problem. If you do not do anything about this problem, 5 years from now, 1 year from now, 10 years from now, what your life is going to be. Show the pains, right? Just the another thing is gain. But if we do something about it right now, and that's something, I'm not talking about the product. I'm saying you have a problem, you want to fix it. If you do something about this situation right now, 5 years from now, 3 years from now, this is how life is going to be. So you create those two pictures in their mind. And then if you've done that well, they will say, so what should I do? And that is where you
I
talk
love that.
about the solution, not even the product, the solution. And what solution is, it actually what situations, I mean, give them an example of what your product in those particular examples is going to do. So this entire process, it's feature, advantage, benefits. So people say talk benefit. What benefit is all about? It's basically in that situation, if you're, stuck in this, my product will help you like this. Make them imagine using your product in a situation that they are in. And if you've done these two things right, they will say, okay, so how do we do that? You would not need anything else. This is a sale closed. This is a sale
That
done.
it is fantastic. Sam, we are on the clock as I have a sales meeting to go to carry on the good work of sales. We will absolutely do a long form. Honestly, Sam, we didn't even really get into your career or everything, but I thought, well, I think this will be half an hour of gold for people. Sam, thank you so much. We will follow up. Before we leave, just pretty much quick answers for 2 questions I ask every guest. Sam, if you could live forever, would you?
I would. Yeah.
Fair enough. And in this imaginary world where you can live forever, you're only allowed to eat one food and one food only for the rest of your life. It does not affect your health. You maintain health, but you only get to eat one food for the rest of your life. What is it?
Well, that's a difficult one. I think if it does not help, impact my health, I think I can eat pizza. Yeah, that I only don't eat because I'm 40 now and I'm trying to be in good shape. Uh,
But,
yeah, I
well,
think I can eat pizza and I can drink beer probably forever. Yeah.
okay. Well, I tell you this, because you have given us so much good information, we are going to let you go, Sam. We're going to let you live forever, and you can have pizza and beer for the rest of your life in this eternity. And we'll give you a phone so you can do some sales. Sam, it has been an absolute pleasure. We'll do part 2 to talk more. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Ned, for having me. This is one of the finest discussions I've had in a very, very long time. I do a lot of podcasts, a lot of talks, a lot of interviews, uh, but this was one of the most interesting. In fact, the most interesting. What we
Oh,
should be
thanks.
doing is an exclusive discussion around sales leaders, uh,
Yes.
because it's their responsibility that their salespeople are not happy, not effective. So exclusively what they can do, what processes, what strategies they can do, and obviously the systems and processes is an important part.
Sam, we met on LinkedIn, but I think we are destined to spend more time speaking because I thank you for saying it was an enjoyable conversation. I could feel it right away as we started chatting and you were saying these words. I'm like, oh my God, I agree with that. Holy shit, I agree with that too. Oh my God, we could chop this up and talk about it. So I'm going to say bye. I'm going to say, listeners, I hope you enjoyed that. And Sam, we'll speak soon, okay?
Bye-bye.